Face it, Todd Wellemeyer needs a good start here tonight. First pitch to the former Boston Red Sox player, center fielder Coco Crisp, is a strike. Numbers on Todd Wellemeyer, presented by Marshall Wireless.
Well, Todd, who's really struggled, as you said, opponents are batting .321 against him, with lefties leading at .337.
Here's a ground ball, circled there by Schumacher, and he'll make the play. Let's take a look at the defense behind Todd Wellemeyer tonight. Duncan, Rasmus, Stavanoa. Those three in the outfield. Barden, Ryan, Schumacher, and Pujols along the infield. The battery tonight, LaRue with Todd Wellemeyer. Ryan Ludwig, we know that he's getting healthier, but Tony La Russa, if you missed the pregame show, saying that Ludwig might actually be activated in front of Rick Ankiel before he comes back.
Yeah, Rick still dealing with a little rib cage, oblique strain. I did talk to him. He said he's getting better, but until that soreness is completely out, they're not going to activate him.
Alberto Callaspo, the second baseman, playing in. Brian Barden to his left, quickly 2 down. What a different first inning for Todd Wellemeyer here tonight, as opposed to his last start on Sunday against Milwaukee, where it really was a struggle just to get through that first inning.
It's not over, but a much better start, as he allowed 4 runs in that inning, and ultimately he had 7 walks and 2 hit batters in less than 5 innings pitched.
Martin will be the hitter. It's a Kansas City team that their fans have gotten behind. They feel that they have a chance to do some damage in the American League Central, and they're actually spending some money, investing in their farm system. Took some chances last year in their draft with a lot of high school players. That's kind of feast or famine when you go with those high school players. Here's the 0-1 pitch to Tien.
You've got to wait a while for the return on your money, but this young Royals team, as Wellemeyer's off to a good start, is pitching extremely well. They have the best ERA in the American League and second overall in baseball.
And an 0-2 pitch. Doesn't chase. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And there's a look at their manager in Kansas City.
Troy Hillman, in his second year, kind of an interesting choice, as came back from Japan and never played in the big leagues, but very likable manager.
1-2 is in the dirt, blocked by LaRue. 2-2. LaRue and Wellemeyer both spent time in Kansas City. George Brett recently came out in support of his manager, who has taken a little heat. They had a losing skid of 6 games and some questionable moves along the way. And like any time that you follow baseball, a manager will be second guessed, and George Brett was very vocal and adamant over the fact that he is supporting his manager and he's the right guy. Pujols casually takes it for the 3rd and final out here in the 1st, and the Cardinals coming up in their half. Good start for Wellemeyer. There's no score. the pitcher.
Well, you see LaRue saying, I want the curveball down. Don't be afraid to bounce it. So you bounce it. And now when you want your fastball, he wants it up. Gives a higher target, and he hits the spot up there. So far they're working well. 3 up, 3 down, 3 ground balls. Can't do any better than that.
It's a 90-mile-an-hour fastball to Skip Schumacher for strike 1 from Kyle Davies, the former Atlanta Brave. 0-1 pitch to the Cardinal leadoff man. Slices out of play for strike 2. Kyle Davies, we saw him with the Braves. His numbers brought to you by Marshall Wireless, a record of 2-2.
And Dan, he's still looking for his first road victory, but he's pitched extremely well. ERA under 2 on the road. This team has some defensive flaws, but this is a very good pitching staff. Their ERA, team ERA, is 3.79, best in the American League and second only to the Dodgers in major leagues.
Kansas City Royals last year were 75-87, 4th place in the American League Central. Schumacher out to right, and the catch made by Guillen. Let's take a look at Tony La Russa's lineup here tonight. Skip Schumacher in that leadoff spot. Following him, Brian Barton, who homered here last night. Then Albert Pujols, who did as well. Chris Duncan, Nick Stavanoa. Colby Rasmus drops down to the 6th spot. Jason LaRue, Todd Wellemeyer, and Brendan Ryan. As mentioned in the open, of course, the Cardinal pitchers are used to hitting, playing in the National League. It's much different, though, for Kyle Davies and the rest of that staff.
But don't take him lightly. He's got a couple home runs in the big leagues.
About to say that. He can swing the bat a little bit. Barton picked up his first ever home run at Busch Stadium last night, but most people, not all, you know, like Barton's wife was talking about Brian's home run and maybe his mom and dad, but everybody else was talking about the other one.
Well, what happened with that other one?
Ouch, my eye.
Yeah, but it seems like some of those people behind that sign are going, ouch, I can't see.
It's kind of like the Band-Aid that they had for Mark McGwire when he hit one off the post dispatch sign.
And I wasn't around, but you might remember, I've heard the story at Busch Stadium too. Remember how in the outfield they used to have the eagle would fly on home runs?
Yes, he hit that too.
McGwire hit it.
Right.
Not McGwire. Or did McGwire hit it?
I believe McGwire hit it.
Shannon hit the A and Eagle sign one time. And
I think that is true too.
Hit the A and Eagle sign, took several $1,000s to fix it.
De Jesus, Crisp, and Guillen in the outfield. Tien, Avelis, Callaspo, and Jacobs. Davies and Buck. The Auto Tire defense. His giveaway tonight, the figurine for the 2008 MVP, Albert Pujols.
He received that award before the game down on the field.
I think you can understand why the fans in Kansas City are very frustrated. They haven't won. And then they see a guy like Pujols go to their cross-state rivals, the St. Louis Cardinals, and he was right in their backyard.
He would even admit back then that he was a little pudgier, baby fat, and wasn't looked the same. But that's part of scouting. Probably the most difficult, as you see the figurine that they gave out at the turnstiles today.
They were lined up early.
Yeah, so were you. I'm walking in the stadium, and you're carrying that box that you're supposed to share with all of us.
Al, I have kids.
You're escaping. That's okay.
I have kids.
I understand.
I'll bring a couple back for you tomorrow. And Tim, I know Big Dog was pretty upset about the whole.
I think we'll all hold our breath, won't we?
And you're right about that too. 36 games against the Royals and a near 400 average. But how about the 11 home runs for Pujols? The 3-0 pitch. Nowhere close, and here's Duncan. Big crowd, interleague play, and now Chris Duncan in that all-important cleanup spot in this lineup.
We'll see what these advanced scouts, what they have taught Davies and the Royals on Duncan, because Kyle has a very good changeup. He does have 4 pitches, and it's not a bad cutter, but he just doesn't like to use it. His breaking ball is a curveball. He has a changeup and a good fastball.
First pitch to Duncan. we're told. Watch the confused fan.
Oh, he's got a Royals jersey on and a Cardinals hat.
Now, a lot of times Cubs come through town and you'll see husband and wife, Cub Cardinal fans, but never the Cub hat and a Cardinal jersey or vice versa. One ball. Now ball number 2 on Duncan.
Now Davies is now 25. He's from the Atlanta area. And, you know, a year ago they had to sit him down. Bob McClure sat him down and showed him because he was so used to seeing Smoltz, Glavine, and Maddox. And what Bob McClure did, and there's your off-speed pitch, is he sit there and he showed Davis the records when they were 23 years of age, 24 years of age. They said, you know, it's okay to be 24. You don't have to be a Hall of Famer when you're so young. And after that, he relaxed and became much better.
You can see there that he's been good on the road, and Wellemeyer has struggled here at home. The 2-1 pitch now to Duncan. You mentioned that changeup. If you're Duncan, you're saying, okay, it's first and second, 2 balls, no strikes. I'm getting something to hit, maybe a fastball, probably a fastball, but if you have confidence in the changeup, pull the string, you can get him to get out in front.
You have to be cognizant of that changeup, but you have to be ready for the first fastball you see. And sure would do wonders for Wellemeyer to jump out to an early lead.
2-2. Count is full. Stabeno on deck.
The only time I really worry about Chris is when he chases pitches out of the strike zone. You know, when he stays disciplined and doesn't chase, he'll get enough fastballs to do a lot of damage.
Well, does Tony La Russa want to start the runners here? If he swings and misses, could be a much easier throw for Buck with a left-handed batter going down to third. They're not running. It's a ground ball backhanded by Jacobs, the former Marlin. Davies covering first. Runners move up to second and third. Nick Stavanoa could do some damage here early on. Runners at second and third and 2 outs. Stavanoa has seen a lot of playing time here for the Cardinals last 3 or 4 games.
Out here and throws the delivery, and Duncan rolls over, but watch his back foot because he's on that toe, but he kind of doesn't have it really anchored. And there's a little bit of wave movement right there.
You can see the grip. It was a changeup grip, that circle change that he throws.
And he rolls over on that pitch that at least he made contact.
Phillies leading the Yankees 5-0. That's in the bottom of the 5th, and the Yankees are the hottest team right now in baseball. Here's a 1-0 pitch. I mean, that's some serious money in a couple of interleague games. Phillies and Yankees, Boston and Mets. Twins leading Milwaukee. Milwaukee in first place in the Central.
You know, the Cardinals scored only 8 runs in their sweep of the Cubbies. You know, the last time it was better. Last time the Cardinals had a sweep scoring less than 8 runs, they scored 6 against the Twins back in '97 and won by scores of 2-1, 2-0, and 2-1.
2 balls, 1 strike, 2 outs, and the next 2, Nick Stavanoa. You're wondering about the outfield arms and the range of the outfield. You see that Crisp has got very good range, but the arm is not what you would like in center field. He had not a lot of range in right.
Has a fairly strong arm, and remember, Chris not playing center. De Jesus used to play center for the Royals. He's over and left.
2-2 the count. Well, the Cardinals certainly catch a break. No Zach Greinke this weekend set.
Hey, got a no decision yesterday.
He's coming back to earth.
As ERA blossomed, I mean, it raced up to 0.82.
What a year he is having.
It's the second lowest all time after 9 starts.
All time.
All time. Marichal had a lower ERA.
They say he's actually interested. You know, he dealt with some personal issues and kind of took him away from baseball, even contemplated retiring from the game in his early 20s.
They're saying since 1920.
There's a base hit into left. 1 run is in. Here comes Pujols, and the Cardinals lead it 2-0 in the first. A 2-out RBI base hit by Nick Stavanoa.
A piece of hitting as Stavanoa goes down and away and reaches for this breaking ball and gets a line drive over the head of the shortstop, plating 2. So their inability to retire Duncan, and not turn a double play on his ground ball to first allows 2 runners to score on the Stavanoa's base hit.
Here's Colby Rasmus. Colby really had some key at bats in that series against Chicago. The home run off of Ted Lilly, and then last night his 2-out base hit up the middle.
Been playing all the time. He's starting now 14 of the last 15 games. 4 of his last 5 hits have been extra base hits. But would you be shocked if I told you on the homestand he's batting 190?
I would be, and I guess the reason is because when he does make contact and puts it in play, they've been big hits and they stand out.
Yeah, 4 of his last 5 hits have been extra base hits, including 3 2-run home runs. So that's what stands out. And Bob McClure, former Cardinal reliever, and I guess you could say that for about 10 other major league clubs for McClure, had one of the best pickoff moves to first all time. Out to talk to Davies.
Davies already with 26 pitches here in the first inning. 13 balls, 13 strikes. Rasmus ahead in the count, 2 balls and no strikes. Jason LaRue on deck and in the pitcher spot.
Runners on, 370 and 3 of his 4 home runs.
The thing about the 2 hits against the Cubs, both of those against lefties. Lilly and Sean Marshall. Well, the Cardinals just flat out pitched in that series against the Cubs. And now the Cubs are struggling. The lineup, as we talked about last night, from 4 on down was about the highest average, 233. But they ran into some great pitching.
Wow, the Cardinals are so hot offensively. In that 3-game sweep, they batted 205.
Wow.
And on the homestand, 191.
Wow.
So it definitely was the starting pitching. And we always talk about how that sets the trend.
Runner goes on 3-1. Throw to second. Not in time. A stolen base for Nick Stavanoa. They like to see that.
Well, it's his first this year, and I'm going to guess his first in the big leagues.
Got a great jump here off of Davies.
You steal it off the pitcher, and Buck didn't have much chance and not a very good throw at all. Their best chance was him coming off the second base bag and tagging him out, but he holds on.
Does he have confidence in the changeup on 3-2 to Rasmus? Rasmus pops it up. Going out on the outfield grass and then called off. The left fielder makes the catch 10, and Wellemeyer, after an inning of play, is given a 2-run lead. 9 against Kansas City as he got those 3 outs. What was Todd Wellemeyer working on from that start to this start?
Working on stuff in the bullpen all week, and trying to forget my delivery, forget all about it, and just go after the hitter, and just concentrate on where the ball is going and not worry about myself.
Interesting that he says that, because we've talked about it. You probably have 1,000 different things running through your mind when mechanics are messed up. Just get the ball and throw it.
Clear your mind.
Yep.
Just get back to muscle memory, and don't complicate it by thinking too much.
And what we're talking about with Wellemeyer, one of the things that they've been concerned about is him throwing across his body and not straight to the target.
I was just studying here something for a minute, Dan, because remember, he was going over his head, then he went back to a more simplified motion. Now he's back over his head. He says he feels better doing that. But last year, when he really had the turnaround season, he had the more abbreviated windup. And when he kind of got straightened out earlier this year is when he simplified it, but now back over his head.
Grounder hit to short.
Don't argue with results.
Brandon Ryan makes the play. Happy 38th wedding anniversary to Joe and Jim Poole. Jim works here at the ballpark, and happy 38th wedding anniversary for Joe and Jim Poole.
And Jim's working here tonight on his anniversary.
Yes, he is. Here's Mike Jacobs. Well, Kansas City did something that in the last few years they never would have thought of, which is trade non-arbitration eligible pitchers to pick up veterans and salary. They did that with this guy here, Mike Jacobs.
And this guy has some pop. Kauffman Stadium is a big ballpark. You don't have a lot of home run hitters there. He already has 9 home runs and 24 RBIs, so he's still a relatively young player. He was with the Marlins after, he was one of those fire sale trades that came down to Florida from the Mets organization.
Here's an 0-1 pitch. He was part of the Delgado deal.
Yes.
Al McRae, you think about his days as a Kansas City Royal. Of course, you spent time with the Royals as well.
I spent a couple years there with Whitey, and of course Al was one of the real leaders of that ball club. DH, and a good one.
Handled easily there by Schumacher. Al is part of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame, as is Al Hrabosky. Well, if you're traveling and can't catch the Cardinals TV broadcast, catch all the action on your computer at MLB.tv, and check it out at STLCardinals.com.
A lot of players that have played both for the Cardinals and Royals remember that Missouri Sports Hall of Fame. It's a nice honor, and Frank White doing the broadcast now is Splittorff. Both of those guys are members of the Hall, and both of those guys are members of the Kansas City Hall of Fame. There you see Frankie as he's taken over duties for Splittorff, who's a little bit under the weather. We want a speedy recovery to Paul. Great guy.
Here's an 0-1 pitch to Buck. Outside, 1 ball, 1 strike. Showed you the numbers. John Buck, when they win and when they lose, he is our Toyota key to the game tonight.
Well, that is telling, isn't it?
Sure is. Great numbers when they win.
Usually like 400 when they win, and under 100
yeah,
when they lose. And
1-1 pitch. Off his foot, foul ball.
They are 21-20, so I guess we're going to find out real quick, aren't we?
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah, maybe, but after the second at bat, you'd have a pretty definitive answer.
Yeah. Memorial Day weekend. Hope everybody has a safe, very safe, and happy holiday weekend. The barbecue pit out.
Don't forget why we celebrate Memorial Day.
1-2 pitch. 2-2. Huge flag flying in the beyond the left field wall here at Busch Stadium. Two. Pitch number 21 here for Todd Wellemeyer.
Fastball down and away.
It's a spot, but
Absolutely.
does not get the call.
Doesn't get the call, but sure, Jason LaRue is going to keep on accentuating. Hey, you're doing the right thing. You're hitting exactly where I want it.
Tough pitch to take with 2 strikes. De Jesus is on deck, and here comes a 3-2 pitch.
Sinker.
High fly ball into center. Rasmus backing up, puts it away for the 3rd and final out. Memorial Day on Monday. We celebrate all weekend long. Play is in full swing. Ryan Howard and the defending World Series champion Phillies make their first trip to the new Yankee Stadium. They'll take on Derek Jeter and the Yankees. Fox Saturday Baseball at 3. Dan McLaughlin, Al Hrabosky with you. We're at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. 2-0. Jason LaRue will lead things off. And fouls it back.
After a long time playing in Cincinnati, Jason went to Kansas City. Didn't hit much there, but he's been a surprising offensive player in the early going this year. Looking for his 600th career hit. He's did a nice job back behind the plate. He came in with a catcher's ERA of 2.93.
Always look at that, don't you?
You know, sometimes it tells a story, and you know, Molina catches every day. Molina's kind of struggling a little bit offensively, so you give him with the day game tomorrow, give him a little mental rest. But Jason is just a great backup because he knows that Yachty's the #1 guy, but always ready to help out.
Here's the 0-2 pitch. Swung on and missed, and LaRue strikes out. First strikeout for Kyle Davies. Underway here in the bottom of the second. 2-0 Cardinals. If you're just joining us, it was a 2-out RBI base hit by Nick Stavanoa to score 2. And once again, Tony La Russa using the pitcher in the 8th spot in the lineup. As you mentioned, Cardinals hit just over 200 against the Cubs, so when he does this, he's trying to generate some offense.
And he did a nice job in that Chicago series of manufacturing runs. Sure, we had a couple home runs that kind of gave a little cushion, but many times it was the manufacturing run, small ball, that got the Cardinals the lead.
Cardinals will wrap up the homestand on Sunday against Kansas City. And then we're off to Milwaukee, and 2 of the 3 games will be day games, Monday and Wednesday. Off day on Thursday, and then a weekend set next weekend in San Francisco. Should see Lincecum Cy Young Award winner from a year ago. Randy Johnson closing in on 300 wins. But talk that Matt Cain has actually been better than Lincecum this year for the Giants.
It's always one of those good power arms. Dodgers having the phenomenal success they are having, but it seems like those Giants are trying to make some noise too. They're second to the Dodgers.
3-2 is lined to second base. Callaspo makes the catch.
I was just talking with Frank White about how being on the mound, thought I'd served up a double, and all of a sudden I'd turn around and see Frank White's vertical jump and haul a ball in. Frankie had a tremendous vertical leap. Perennial Gold Glove winner. He was about, he was an 8th place hitter in the early 70s, but at the end of his career, he was batting cleanup for the Royals. And Tony La Russa was making a case today that he should be in the Hall of Fame.
Really? Out to center. A line shot. And Ryan lines out to center. Gorgeous night here in St. Louis. 2-0 after 2. Sports Midwest is brought to you by Kia Motors. To learn more, visit kia.com. By Aflac, we've got you under our wing. And by the Casino Queen, home of the loosest slots. It was just a few minutes ago. Lineups exchanged. Tony La Russa and the Kansas City Royals in town. And the first pitch by Todd Wellemeyer is a strike as we are underway. Here in the top of the third, we'll visit with Mike Anderson, the Missouri head coach, momentarily. David DeJesus, Mike Aviles, and Kyle Davies, 7, 8, and 9. 1 ball, 1 strike. Mike Anderson is with us. Missouri basketball coach. Always nice to see you.
Well, thanks, Dan. Nice to be here. I'll tell you what, a beautiful night, beautiful stadium. Glad to be here.
Well, we're glad to have you. By the way, you put together a pretty good run in the NCAA tournament. That wasn't bad. Well, I didn't know you had that up your sleeve.
Well, if you told me that's what we're do at the beginning of the year, then I'd ask you, hey, man, what you been drinking? But but it's kind of special when it all comes together, and I thought we had the right kids.
Well, you did, and you made a great run. I'm sure as we see a 1-2 pitch now to DeJesus, and there's the first base hit for Kansas City. I'm sure you probably have replay the UConn game in your mind? You know, you sit there and think, what could we have done a little bit differently to advance to the Final Four?
Well, we were right there. I think a couple of baskets here, a free throw there. We're right there. I think we just ran out of time. It wasn't because of the effort of our guys. And you got to remember in that game, you know, our two key guys didn't really have a phenomenal game. So it was the bench that came in and really played well.
What's it done for your program?
Well, I'll tell you what, it's kind of taking us exposure to a different level. Nationally, there's pride, the passion for basketball here in the state of Missouri. It was a very special year.
Mike Aviles is the hitter, the shortstop, struggling this year, and that pitch is on the outside corner. You know, Mike, when you look at your program from where you were to making it almost to the Final Four, did you think the transition would be as quickly attained as you were able to get it to, you know, almost a Final Four, almost a national championship?
Well, you know, you never say never, but every year you want to try to contend for a national championship. But to see it happen, I've seen the blueprint. I saw it happen at Arkansas, and so I see some of those same things taking place here at the University of Missouri.
Why did you decide to stay in Columbia? And it's been well documented you were offered a ton of money to go to other places, but you decided to stay at Mizzou. You got a nice bump at the university, but why did you ultimately say that this is where you want to be?
Well, I think there's a lot of factors. There's something I prayed. You know, I felt comfortable there at Missouri. The players, my family is happy there. Not only that, I think Mike Alden, Chancellor Deaton, and Gary Forsey, I think they made the commitment to me to do the things that we need to do in order to have a chance to win a national championship. And then, of course, I think the passion's back. I think basketball is very relevant at the University of Missouri.
You know, it was great, too, seeing the crowds at the end of your home portion of your schedule. You guys were packed. It was sold out. I would imagine you're anticipating beginning of next season that you're looking forward to much bigger crowds than what we saw at the beginning of this last season.
Well, you're absolutely right. Look what took place. We went 18-0. I mean, and had some tremendous atmosphere. And I think it's important for our fans to understand it's not about who we play. You come and watch the Tigers play. I think we got a great product. It's entertaining and it's good basketball.
Mm-hmm. How many coaches did you hear from after that run?
Oh, man, it was unbelievable. Unbelievable. Where, you know, and of course you go to the Final Four and you always hear, you know, great job. And
sure.
But again, it's and then not only that, you get voted by your peers as one of the better coaches that particular year.
Right.
That's kind of a special year.
Blake Griffin is headed to the NBA, and you are smiling, I'm assuming.
Thank goodness he's gone. I tell you what, I don't know how we did what we did against him in the last game at Mizzou Arena, but we had to play 3 guys on the guys. So kudos to Blake, outstanding player.
And here's your ticket to L.A. And
Absolutely.
Hurry up and get going.
Absolutely.
Mike Anderson is with us, the Missouri head basketball coach. Are you a baseball fan, knowing how crazed St. Louis is about baseball?
Well, I'll tell you what, I enjoy watching baseball. I played a little bit. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to throw the first pitch. How about that? And I got it across the plate.
Did you?
Oh, man.
You made it on a fly, no problem?
No problem. I was on the mound. I was the big boy. I got to the mound.
Did you, loosen up a little bit before the game, anything like that?
No, I didn't.
Just let it rip?
I just let it rip.
You sure about that?
Nah, I threw 1 or 2 pitches. That's about it beforehand.
Mike, also, you had a busy day in St. Louis. I'm not sure Missouri alumni, the ones that are here in St. Louis, knew what you did. You were busy today, weren't you?
Boy, real busy. Got a chance to go and visit with some of the juveniles down at the detention center, and then also to Mayor Slay's office and receive the key to the city. So I want everybody to be on notice. I'm planning to use that key to lock down all the top recruits in the state of Missouri to keep them here.
I like hearing that. Now, here is your, I guess, wind-up maybe. We're going to take a look at a highlight of you throwing out the first pitch. That's pretty good.
Oh, man, you see that curveball? That was a sinker there. I think it was a sinker. Knuckle sinker. How about that?
A knuckle sinker. You've invented the new pitch. The Mike Anderson knuckle sinker.
Well, I tell you, I had a lot of fun with it.
That's great. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that is bunted back to Wellemeyer, and he'll toss to Albert Pujols. There's 2 away. So you also, as you mentioned, got a key to the city from Mayor Slay. Coach, you dressed down for us. I mean, you got the black dry fit going here, but
Well,
I mean,
they call
you
that
were styling there.
Well, they call that a Sears sucker suit, so I guess I had the top on. And but hey, it was a great day. Again, that's as I received that key, I made a statement that this was about our basketball team, our coaching staff, the families, and administration. I mean, that was for Missouri.
How about your recruiting season? What you can talk about for next year and years to come? How are things going there?
Well, I think it's going great. We've added some size. We had to address that. We lost 2 all-conference players,
right?
In DeMarais Carroll and Leo Lyons, and so we brought in some size. And but I'm excited about the guys that are returning. We had 5 guys that were freshmen, and now you got a guy like Keith Ramsey in his senior year, and I'll tell you what, J.T. Tiller and Zaire Taylor, I think that's going to be the key to our basketball team this year, senior guards.
Well, I love watching J.T. play. He just gets after it.
Well, he leaves it on the floor. I mean, the guy, can you imagine, the guy played for the most part of the year with the torn ligament in his wrist and never said a word and just willed us to win. I mean, he had a great game against Memphis, career high in points, and again, those kind of guys, they get you not only to Elite 18s, but eventually Final Fours.
No balls and 2 strikes with 2 outs and a runner at second base. This is what my partner does when I have a guest come in the booth. Al runs the camera, at least attempts to, and that is awful work done by the Mad Hungarian.
That's pretty scary there.
That's what I have to work with night in and night out. So I welcome you to stay around as long as you want. You can start analyzing the game.
You probably do a better job than I do on that.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Coco Crisp. Leadoff man for the Kansas City Royals. How about the talent here in the state of Missouri, since we have viewers all over the state tonight with Kansas City and St. Louis?
Well, it's something we're going to continue to really look at and bring the guys that fit what we're doing. We signed another kid, Michael Dixon, this year, guard out of Kansas City area, is going to come play for us. And we want the best kids, players, especially here in our state, to stay home and help us continue to improve and try to win a national championship. That's my goal, is to win a national championship.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Popped foul and out of play. For people that don't know, your son was part of the team, and that must have made the run extra special to have Michael Anderson Jr. playing for you. It's just got to be the ultimate.
Oh man, special. I've seen him just grow from a little boy, and now he's 22, 23 years old, and he had a chance to start on senior night. And people, if you watch back, he understands the game. He knows how to play the game, and he got out and played really, really well. And I guess my wife continues to say, "You didn't play my son enough. You didn't play my son enough." But one thing about him, he's one of the captains, and I thought he was like a coach on the bench for me.
That's great. Crisp fly ball, shallow right center. Colby Rasmus is there. Well, on behalf of anybody that followed the University of Missouri, your run made it a lot of fun. Congratulations, Coach.
Well, thanks, Dan. And that's what I like to hear, the fun, the excitement, and it's winning basketball.
You bet. That's the head coach at the University of Missouri, Mike Anderson. 2-0. recording group New Song will be a part of the festivities. 636-227-9788 for more information. Christian Family Day. 0-1 pitch to Skip Schumacher. Al is back with us. I thought you were outstanding on the camera work, Al, and Tony West is probably in trouble with his job. You're very good.
I hope nobody got to see my finished product.
Oh, I thought it was really nice work.
Very entertaining, right? Anything in focus?
What were you shooting, Al? What were you looking at?
I was trying to get the diamond, but I got a little sidetracked there. I'm not very good at Nintendo
I see
either.
You probably, shooting some people in the crowd, maybe people that interest you.
No, couldn't find the crowd.
There's plenty of people here.
Couldn't find them. Found
Over
the
40,000. Get a lot of dirt, huh?
I found the back behind the plate.
1-2. Top of the lineup: Schumacher, Barden, and Pujols for the Cardinals. And Skip hits it out of play.
Always had great appreciation for what T. West does with that camera. He's the best.
Oh, come on.
So's our crew.
Come on, Al. That's not what you say off camera. Let's be honest here.
On camera, our crew is the best. But there's T. West. There's Big Dog. And then we have Tim Garcia.
Tim has really been working hard this year, though. And you can tell the difference in the telecast. 1 ball and 2 strikes with nobody out. Schumacher fly to right his first time up. Taps another one foul. But Davies already approaching 50 pitches, and he's got nobody out here in the third.
Skip has followed suit. He's in a little bit of a tailspin as he's just 2 for his last 18 on this homestand.
Ooh, and he waves at that pitch way outside and strikes out. And that's the second strikeout for Davies. Our baseball fun facts: Rob Nen faces off with Dave Otto. Is the first time 2 pitchers faced each other with last names that are palindromes. Pronounce the name backwards and forwards. You knew that, didn't you, Al?
I did know that.
Here's Brian Barden. Nothing like baseball fun facts.
Yeah.
1 ball, 1 strike on Barden, who singled and scored his first time up. 2-out base hit by Nick Stavanoa. Interesting that Tony La Russa moving Barden to the second spot in the lineup tonight, dropping down Colby Rasmus.
That is interesting, but Barden right now is swinging the hot bat, so I think Tony trying to take advantage of it. He had 2 hits last night, including his first home run at Busch. He was 2 for 6 in the most recent series. And that's a hot bat.
That's for the Cardinals. You're right. That is hot. The way things have been going offensively. And he strikes out. No argument there. Foul tip held on to by Buck. Well, tonight Cardinals Live is broadcast from the Aqua Bar at Lumiere Place Casino. Watch player interviews, and Tony La Russa plus Pat Paris and Rick Horton will break down the game. It's U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live after the game on Fox Sports Midwest. Third strikeout in the game, second in the inning. Here's Pujols, who walked and scored.
Wouldn't surprise you if I told you that Pujols has an unbelievable average in interleague play.
No. Nothing surprises me with the numbers of Albert Pujols.
Albert is first with a .350 average. Larry Walker is second while playing with the Colorado and the Cards, a .346 average. And then DeJesus of Kansas City is the third best.
Well, it took 7 pitches, and Pujols finally got a pitch to swing at. 2 balls and 1 strike. It was nice to visit with Mike Anderson. What a great run for the Tigers.
Oh, Nice man and winning over a lot of fans there for Mizzou.
Came into a very tough spot following Quinn Snyder and some of the different things that have happened on the court and off the court. 2-2 pitch. Pujols pops it up. It's a good pitch by Davies that was in and under his hands. Cardinals go in order. 2-0 after 3. Advantage and an extraordinary Cardinals baseball experience. For reservations and info, number to call 421-1776 or visit HiltonSt. Louis.com. Gorgeous night here in St. Louis as we move to the fourth. It's 2-0 Cardinals. This should be another out. Going out Brendan Ryan, but Duncan will make the catch. One away. Good start here for Wellemeyer.
Absolutely. Only a hit to DeJesus. Everything else, he's really controlled the counts. One out here in the fourth inning. He's only thrown 40 pitches. He's still in the first inning. In
41.
His last start,
That's
41
right.
in the first inning. A nightmare inning and start.
Well, we saw him last May. He was terrific, undefeated, and the pitcher of the month in May in 2008. There's a strike on that sharp little breaking ball. That was the pitch he was really searching for in his last start. And we've seen first pitch strikes here. And last night with Adam Wainwright with that very good fastball, you know, he was getting those first pitch strikes, and with that then it just sets up the breaking ball.
Well, he's always had a good slider and an overpowering fastball. But when he was throwing the ball over his head in the windup, his arm was dragging. But now you see he's been able to follow through. He's telling you how he's following through, going over that stiff front leg. That allow you to finish off the pitches instead of just having your arm dragging, and then you can't get the ball down. You can't get it, you know, inside to a left-handed batter. It just kind of stays up and away.
One out, one ball, and 2 strikes on Tien here. Tien grounded out to first his first time up. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Downtown will be hopping tonight. Gorgeous evening here in St. Louis. Big crowd. And a swing and a miss. A strikeout. His second of the night. And quickly 2 outs.
Tien's got a little power, so you want to keep it away from it. Get it out far enough away, either all the way in or away. And this ball does kind of get away from it as you see that torque on an arm. Sometimes you see that slow motion, you wonder how an arm stays attached to the body.
It seems like we really see it with him when he's on the mound.
He's got those big broad shoulders, not wearing sleeves, so you kind of see the muscles and the contortion.
1-0 pitch. Our slow-mo cam all season long, brought to you by Hot Shot Sports Bar and Grill, and that's the changeup grip there.
See a circle change, and you see how the arm and turns it over just a little bit, finishing it off. But your body is not designed to throw a ball over your head. That's why your arms swing below your waist. That's why you can see such unbelievable stuff from a softball pitcher. You know, an underhand softball pitcher.
That's why they pitch day after day.
Right.
Submariners in Major League Baseball seem to stick around because of that similar style of pitching and motion.
First walk.
Makes me think of Dan Quisenberry, Al.
Quisenberry played with Ted Abernathy. You probably don't know that name. He's a Submariner.
Here's Jacobs.
But prior to coming to the Cubs, or coming to the Cardinals, he played with the Cubs, so that's why I knew you wouldn't know him.
With 2 strikeouts, a walk now, and here's Mike Jacobs, who is grounded out to second. Always seemed to be a guy that was one of the leaders in Florida, and they say he's really taken on a leadership role here with the Kansas City Royals.
Just coming over for the first year, it's a young team that's still looking for leadership. He's had a lot of power in one swing. He could tie this game.
Mentioned that Jacobs came over to trade, and Coco Crisp as well for the Kansas City Royals.
Our Cardinal fans may remember, but Coco Crisp started in the Cardinal organization, started through the minor leagues, signed with the Cardinals.
It was to Cleveland in the Chuck Finley deal.
That's right.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Take a look here if you see a little Ryan Howard, the way that he starts. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right there. And kind of pointing that bat. Gets back, but
I'd rather pitch to this guy instead of Howard, though.
Yes.
Here's a 1-2.
He does have good power, but he has not hit the home runs like Ryan Howard.
Kansas City Royals, their payroll will be at $70 million this year, which is the highest it's ever been.
That's good to see. I mean, that American League Central is always open for grabs. And, they spent a long time trying to develop young, talented players.
There's a check swing and a strikeout of Jacobs, who's arguing with the home plate umpire, Tony Randazzo. 2 strikeouts in the inning, 3 on the night for Wellemeyer. have the lead. And don't forget StubHub, the only site with Fan Protect guarantee. To get your tickets, also go to StubHub for All-Star Game tickets as well. So Chris Duncan will lead it off for the Cardinals.
Productive at bat his first time around as he grounded the ball to the right side. They couldn't turn the double play. They only got the one out at first base. Both runners advanced and then came home on Stavanoa's two-run single.
Stavanoa on deck and a swing and a miss. These young left-handed hitters of the Cardinals are seeing a ton of off-speed pitches, a lot of change-ups.
Chris is 2 for his last 14. But the Cardinals are 13-3 when he has an RBI.
See those game-winning RBIs in our Firestone leaderboard, and Duncan strikes out as he spins away from that cold third strike. Didn't like it. 4 on the night for Davies. Nick Stavanoa with that 2-out RBI base hit to score 2. That's the difference in the game. That was back in the first.
That's the only scoring in this ball game, and a lot of times, you know, if you get to a young pitcher or even the most established star, you get to them in the first inning before they settle in.
And there's a strike to Stavanoa.
And since Stavanoa's base hit, Kyle Davies has retired every Cardinal.
Adam Carter has made his way to the booth.
It's kind of pushy, you know. He pushed me aside, just jumped in here. He said, "You can't do the RoboCam, Al, and I'll take over your job anyway, broadcast."
And he took my seat.
Well, didn't want to tell you that. That was okay with me.
He can't find it. Now he does in center field. That's Coco Crisp. So Adam Carter is with us, and good to see that he's been kind enough to bring us some good luck here tonight. 2 outs now, and Colby Rasmus will be the hitter. Think I'll get my seat back?
Nope.
I don't either.
It looks comfortable.
Rasmus is swinging a miss. Well, Kansas City really, Al, made a statement a couple of years ago with Gil Mesh on a deal that looks pretty good now. A lot of people questioned it at the time, $55 million for 5 years, but he's been just fine.
He's been fine. He's got out there and kind of anchored that staff. And as I said, this is a good young pitching staff right now.
Jose Guillen, before 2008, they gave him $36 million, so they have spent some money the last couple of years.
And they've developed a lot of young talent through their farm system over the last few years and signing more.
Record has improved for the 3rd straight year. And many feel that they, because of this pitching, can stay in the race in the American League Central Division.
Why not?
You can pitch. You've got a chance. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Colby Rasmus.
3 games behind Detroit.
We'll see Detroit this year in interleague play again, but this time we stay in St. Louis, and with interleague play, we still have not been to Baltimore.
Right. We went 3 straight years to Detroit. We haven't been to Baltimore or Anaheim.
And a swing and a miss by Colby Rasmus. He strikes out. Davies has struck out 4 of the last 5. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. First pitch to John Buck was taken for a ball. It'll be Buck, De Jesus, Aviles, the shortstop. We'll see the youngster Hochevar, who was one of their top picks a couple of years ago. He'll make a start here for the Royals
tomorrow. And then on Sunday, they get Bannister, who pitched a whale of a game against the Cardinals last year in interleague play.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. And a foul tip, 2-1. Wellemeyer's keeping the ball down, throwing strikes.
He's finishing off his pitches, you know, where when he is missing, he's missing, you know, down in the strike zone, like you said, or staying out of the middle of the plate.
I don't know about
Much
you,
better.
but I think I'm kind of done with interleague play. I think I'm over it.
I was done with it before it started.
The 2-1, the ground ball. Brendan Ryan on the outfield grass. Couldn't come up with it. It looked like he wanted to spin and throw, and Buck has a base hit. Remember, we talked to Brendan the other day about playing so deep, and that time he could not come up with it. This date in baseball history brought to you by Schnucks. We saw him this past week wearing a Brewers uniform. That's Jeff Supine. He spent time in Kansas City. Faces the Royals for the first time since leaving back in '05, and he was very good.
Remember the game he pitched against the Cardinals, his final game for the Royals before he was traded to Boston. And if my memory serves me right, it was a shutout.
He was great.
Probably solidified that trade.
That was the day that Julian Tavares got suspended. I don't know why I remember that. But it was a day-night doubleheader against the Pirates. I don't know why I remember it, Al. I just do. Here's De Jesus.
Anybody tell you at times you have a weird memory?
Yes. All the time. Just remember little things like that. The 1-0 pitch. 2-0. Falling behind here. Phillies lead the Yankees 7-2. Mets over Boston 5-3. It's now 8-0. The Twins leading Milwaukee.
The second batter that he's fallen behind. 2-0, and then Buck came back and got a base hit. I think you watch Brendan Ryan's actions. He's a little disappointed with himself that he didn't come up with that play. He scored a base hit.
2-0 is popped up. Ryan going out, backing up. The shortstop makes the catch. Big 12 baseball tournament continued today in Oklahoma City with Missouri among the 8 teams competing for the title. On Sunday, Fox Sports Midwest will televise the championship live. Watch the Big 12 baseball championship Sunday at 1 only on Fox Sports Midwest. Aviles struck out his first time up. May have been one of those times where Brendan Ryan was playing so deep, even if he comes up and fields it cleanly, I'm not sure he still would get the runner at first. It's been very close.
Catcher running, but your point being that take a little bit of an exceptional play, and maybe that was part of the scoring.
You see now with a runner at first and potential of a double play, closer to the bag and playing in.
Vilas last year, you know, just had a great season for them offensively, and this year's the opposite.
Here's a double play ball. Schumacher, Brendan Ryan takes his time. 4-6-3 on the double play. here on Fox Sports Midwest. We're on the air at 11:30. Don't forget, that's an early start with the pregame show at 11:30. And Kyle Loge looks to snap a 3-game losing streak. Be his 9th start tomorrow. Outstanding shot there from Tony West, who's all over the ballpark and all over the city. Getting some of those shots for our viewers at home. And there's a look at Kyle Loge. And Tony La Russa talked about, his last time out. They probably forced him a bit after the rain-shortened game on Friday night. Came back to pitch on Monday against Milwaukee. Wasn't very sharp. He walked 3 in that start, so you would figure he'd be right back on track tomorrow. First pitch, a strike to LaRue.
Well, Kyle appreciated his managers taking a lot of the blame for that, but he's man enough to say, hey, I thought it was the right decision. I wanted to make that start. It just didn't go right, but
fisted out to second. Gloved by Callaspo, and the out.
Davies really settled in, hasn't he?
Sure has. Last base hit for the Cardinals was the Stabanoa 2-out hit in the first.
And then 11 retired after that.
Todd Wellemeyer's been very good on the other end. Only 2 hits aside in this ballgame.
Still looking, Davies looking for his first road win, but his ERA on the road is under 2. So he's pitched effectively.
And there's a strike as Wellemeyer lined out to second. His first time up, 0 for 1.
Twins are having some fun at the expense of Milwaukee. They won 20-1 yesterday against the White Sox, and now they have a 9-0 lead in the top of the 5th inning against the Brewers.
What was the first time that you can recall hearing about a no-trade clause in a contract, which is what Jake Peavy used in his deal with San Diego?
Well, you didn't really hear about that until you started giving multi-year contracts. And you always, for many years, you had the 10 and 5, meaning if a player had 10 years of big league service and the last 5 consecutive with one club, he had veto power. But when you start getting into multi-year contracts, the free and some, people started including a no trade clause.
You can understand why a player would want that. They want to be in a city for a long time with their family.
A lot of people forget Messerschmitt's was one of the original test cases on free agency. And his whole deal was it was nothing to do about money, but he wanted a no trade clause. And that's what he held out for and became a free agent. And what his deal was, he played for the Angels for 7-8 years. Then he went to the Dodgers. So he'd been in Southern California for 12 plus years and didn't want to leave Southern California.
2-2. 1 out, nobody on. McRae and Rasmus on the left. Two-two pitch, and he got him. Wellemeyer strikes out. It's now 6 on the evening for Kyle Davies. 1972, Reggie Jackson takes the field sporting a mustache. He is the first to do so since Wally Shang in 1914.
Well, that's what I told you is Reggie started wearing a mustache, and then instead of making such a big issue about it, Charlie Finley decided that, okay, I'll kind of disguise that. We'll have a mustache contest with our ball club. That was actually I think in 73 after Reggie kind of stirred the pot with his mustache. And everybody on the team was supposed to grow a mustache. And Dal Maxfield told me, he was on that ball club. He goes, never had a mustache. I don't want a mustache. He goes, I'll pay you $300 to grow one. So I'll grow a mustache.
$300.
$300. Boy, times have changed.
Broken bat hit to short, and Ryan is retired. Well, Davies has settled in. So is Wellemeyer. It's 2-0 after 5. switch to the nation's fastest 3G network, AT&T, your world delivered. And by McDonald's, the double cheeseburger extra value meal now just $2.99 at McDonald's. A 2-0 lead as we move to the top of the 6th. And Kyle Davies will be the hitter for the Kansas City Royals. The last 9 that he has seen, Davies has struck out 5 of the 9. 1 pitch and 1 out. Barden comes up with it over to Albert. Only 62 pitches on the night now for Todd Wellemeyer.
These pitchers are in kind of control as both of them allowed 2 hits. Problem is Davies allowed a 2-run single with 2 men on. A base hit by Barden and a walk to Pujols back in the first inning, resulting in the Cardinals' 2-0 lead.
Coco Crisp, who is 0 for 2. He's grounded out to second and flied out to center. Then Callaspo is on deck. Top of the order. 1, 2, and 3 is 0 for 6.
Crisp, a switch hitter, and you really want to keep him off the bases. Good base stealer.
You spent time with the Kansas City Royals, of course. I know we've talked about it before, but you really enjoyed your time there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it was amazing to me after playing 8 years in the National League to go over to Kansas City and remember how many turf fields, seemed like all the ballparks virtually in the National League were turf, but only the first year they weren't playing in the dome, so really Kansas City was the oddity, playing in a turf field, and how American League clubs were terrified of the turf. Whitey played National League style baseball at a big ballpark. Didn't really have the home run hitters and everything, and it was fun to play with Frank White, George Brett, Hal McRae, but I got to see a guy like John Wathan. Really appreciate how talented and versatile he was. You had Splittorff, you had Gura, you had Steve Busby, who I played against in high school, coming back from the first Tommy John rotator cuff surgery. Really before they did it arthroscopically. Dennis Leonard, Darrell Porter.
Second walk. Apparently Tom Mee has a picture of you, Al, after one of your meetings with Vern Rapp. Tom Mee, our director. There's that facial hair and that crazy hair that you sported back then.
That was before Vern Rapp. I have facial hair. But even John Mozeliak said something about, suspended for rank insubordination, huh?
Rank insubordination was the official wording of your suspension.
Yes. On a 45-degree angle.
That's tough. Vern Rapp showing a little muscle against you there, Al. He shut you down.
Like I said, when Bing Devine got back in town on Monday, called us in and said, what happened?
And all was forgiven, huh?
No, not yet. But
I know you're still a little upset over it.
He said, all right, what happened? Vern said, well, he won't give me the ball if I go out to take the ball away from him. I said, Vern, I told you before the season, it's just a personal thing, but I won't say anything. I won't do anything. I'll stand there and wait till the relief pitcher comes in. I want to hand him the ball. I'll tap him on the rear end, so go get him, and I'll walk off with you. I won't say a word. I won't, He goes, well, if you save a game, you don't shake my hand. I said, I shake the hands of the guys that got them. Help me get the save. I'll get to you. You don't see Tony, a pitcher, run out to Tony, the first person. They all congratulate each other on the field, and then they shake the hand. And he said, well, I'm not going to shake your hand this time. I said, that's fine with me. And Bing said, that's it. You're reinstated. Vern, don't ever talk to him about anything other than baseball.
Crisp is running. That's line down the left field line, but foul.
And Al, if he wants to talk to you about baseball, you have to meet with him.
Al, after all these years, and I'm listening to you explain your story,
my blood pressure is going up.
I
is that
can
what
tell
you
you are getting a little flushed in the cheeks, but a little childish, don't you think, Al?
Yes, I have often said that. I'm man enough to say that I wish I could have handled things a little differently.
Now that is a step in the right direction.
I took a happy pill today. Takes me a while, but I do learn.
I understand. It's only been a couple of decades.
No, more.
Yeah, it actually.
3 plus.
Yeah.
Curveball down. Got a base stealer out there who's leaning. You have to believe he wanted to
Didn't get a good jump, yeah.
But he saw something and just wasn't comfortable, didn't have the good jump, so he couldn't run on the perfect pitch to run on.
Which was the breaking ball. 1-2 is the count with 1 out. Certainly the Royals know all about Molina throwing behind a runner and picking him off at first. He has 29 in his career now.
Going to throw over.
But tonight, of course, you have LaRue, and that makes it a little bit different where they might want to be aggressive.
Actually, LaRue this year is 1 for 1 in throwing out runners. So he's throwing well, but not catching on a regular basis makes it tough. Sinker away. Look at the lead he's got over there. Chris.
There he goes, but it's hit in the air. Over to get it, Rasmus or Duncan. It'll be Duncan. He'll make the catch. And back to first goes Coco Crisp with 2 outs.
Chris had 20 steals last year with Boston, and he already has 11 this season.
Martin will be the hitter.
Rusty Kuntz, first base coach for the Royals. Rusty, just a really good guy. He played for Tony La Russa in the White Sox organization. Not much of a hitter, but a very good defensive outfielder.
And that pitch is taken upstairs. Remember on Sunday how tough it was for Molina.
Every now and then you got to be a little effectively wild. Just not to make anybody feel comfortable in that batter's box.
Here's a 1-0 pitch. Outside, 2 balls and no strikes.
More consistently now falling behind the count, and that usually can be very troublesome.
2-0 with 2 outs and a runner at first. Tien has grounded out to first and struck out. And he lines it fair. And it'll hop over the wall and into the seats, and the Cardinals with that catch a break. So Tien a ground rule double. He's in scoring position. And Coco Crisp has to stay put at third base. They really catch a break. He probably scores on that.
Probably does. And as you watch, good sinking action, but he goes with the pitch down there, just hits it inside the line. Look at our guard, how alert he is as he gets his stool and out of the way. There it hops over and then back into the playing surface. But once it went out of play, it becomes a ground rule double and a visit from Dave Duncan. You know, Dan, if you go back to that pitch, he really had a long delay to the point where I thought it was one of those calls where you do not pitch. And Coco Crisp, the runner at first base, actually lost the spring in his legs and took a step back to first base. That's when he threw the pitch, but he had so much concentration to first. He throws a pitch and he results in a base hit.
Well, you're right. He really has slowed things down with runners on. When was the last time the Cardinals swept a 3-game series from the Cubs without scoring more than 3 runs in any game? Our Aflac trivia question. And the answer, 1957. August 30th through the 1st of September back in 1957 against Chicago. Well, here's Guillen now, who's grounded to short and also walked. And he looks at a strike. Well, Nick Stavinoa back in the first came through in this situation with 2 outs and a couple of runners on. Delivered with a base hit to left to make it 2-0. That's where we stand right now. The 0-1 pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike. You might remember on Sunday, Molina, I mean, he got to work out in about 5 innings for a month's worth with Wellemeyer on the mound. It was pitches in the dirt and up and down and all over the place. It was just really a struggle for Todd to find the strike zone. Much better command tonight, although a couple of pitches in this inning look like they've gotten away.
Well, and he's consistently fallen behind the count. He did get ahead with the first pitch strike to Guillen, who hit 20 home runs and 97 RBIs last season for the Royals. So this is the guy that they want up.
Here's a 1-1 pitch and a ground ball. Barton across the diamond makes the play. Kansas City strands 2. Top of the lineup coming up. Pujols due up third. Pitch on Guillen, presented by Chevrolet.
Starts him out with a slider, gets strike 1 with it. Then the fastball up in the zone. 1-1. And then comes back with another slider. He rolls over it. Little ground ball to third. He's out of the inning. 6 shutout innings on only 3 hits for Wellemeyer.
And on the other side, Davies is locked in. What have you seen from him?
Well, if you go back to Bob McClure, went out there and talked to him a little bit, got him back in, as he gave up his only 2 hits and a walk in the first inning. But once he retired Kobe Rasmus to after Stavinoa's two-run single, all of a sudden he has retired every Cardinal he has faced. 13 in a row right now.
Here's a 1-1 pitch. Certainly it's a different looking lineup for the Cardinals with the various injuries that they've had with Ankiel, Ludwig, and Gloss all out. And the rookies have had to make an impact for Tony La Russa this year in 09. We talked about that this past week, how he's okay with the youth movement. Of course, he'd rather have his team healthy, but this is what he has to deal with.
I've always been impressed. I know it sounds like a broken record, but Tony never dwells on what he doesn't have. He always tries to concentrate on what he does have, and he will tell you, he said, we've got enough weapons. If we play the game right and we don't get, stay within ourselves, we can win.
There's the changeup. It's a fair ball. Jacobs to the pitcher covering. That's Davies for the first out. He stuck with the play and got the ground ball out.
Does he have a Rawlings glove? That explains it.
6 is a serious number. When the Cardinals score 6, you get a 20-ounce coffee, fountain or frozen drink for just a quarter the next day at On the Run at Mobile.
You notice he's presenting a very positive action out there. Davies gets the ball, working both sides of the plate now, keeping the ball down. If he elevates it, it's for a reason. Try and get somebody chase the ball, change their eye level a little bit.
Here's Barden. 1 for 2 on the night with a run scored. I wonder if he's going to start to take off a little bit. Brian Barden, who's hitting .282, had a terrific first month and then hit a tailspin. But in my mind, Al, that was at least part of it was the fact that he wasn't playing. Inactivity.
Yeah, he had a couple hits last night. So 275 as a starter, 278 off the bench, and Thurston has really slowed down.
And when you don't play, I'm sure he's trying to make an impression still. Maybe you get over anxious, your timing's off.
Sometimes a manager will look at a player and then make a determination that, whether it's fair or not, they'll say, well, he can only do this, or he's limited in this way. Sometimes you got to let the guy play and just find out.
I will say this, though, that Tony does a remarkable job at finding guys that haven't had success in other places that become role players, and he's very good at saying, all right, like what you said, but putting him in situations to have that success and to not overexpose them.
Every manager tries to do what you're talking about. I'm only going to put it, I evaluate the guy, and then I'm only going to put him in situations where he can exceed, where he'll have success.
And Barden strikes out. He thought he struck out, I think, on the previous pitch. That's 7 for Kyle Davies.
Well, watch out. He's got a good breaking ball. Now he has a curveball. He's got a good cutter, but he thinks that's his 4th best pitch, and he doesn't use it as much. And he's got a good changeup, which neutralizes a lot of the young Cardinal hitters.
Pujols, 2 outs, nobody on. Now, last time he got him to pop up. A very good pitch in on his hands.
Well, that's one thing he's been able to do. He's been able to throw enough pitches inside and effectively in there tying up hitters. Predominantly a work away, but when he comes in, a lot of times the hitter will jam himself.
1 ball, 1 strike on Albert Pujols with 2 outs and nobody on. Now, the first time he was up, he just completely pitched around him, and it cost him, as Pujols would eventually come around to score on that 2-out base hit by Stavinoa. Watch out here on 2-1. Pujols with a base hit into left. I guess because we've all seen it before with Tony La Russa, and he does not address his contract situation until the end of the season, but he is up after this year. As you see Pujols, we always highlight that front foot and the lack of movement for the most part with it. But when you have number 5 and you know that he's going to be in the middle of your lineup, it makes it a lot easier to come back and build around him.
And one aspect too, and I think that he started with Albert. He's seen every at bat that Albert Pujols has made in this unbelievable 8-year. This is the 9th year of his career. Wouldn't you like to be around for the finish of it too?
It's a good point. I know Pujols would want him there.
Exactly. Albert appreciates what they do. Will Albert be a rarity in today's baseball, player's entire career in St. Louis?
And there have been other times I didn't think La Russa was coming back, and he did.
Right. This last time.
Very much so.
Won 7 divisions, 2 National League pennants and a World Championship under his direction.
1-1 pitch. Now Pujols is under contract for a couple of more years, but it'd be scary to think if he hit the open market what kind of numbers he could get.
Well, it's also scary when he says, I'm not going to give you a hometown discount, and if you don't have a good team around me, I won't stay. Well, how do you pay him what he's worth and have a team around him?
Sure. Duncan in this at bat has seen every pitch that Davies throws.
But I don't think there's anybody, any fan of baseball, that will ever say that Albert Pujols hasn't been worth every cent he's received.
A 2-2 pitch. Count is full. 5 pitches. 3 of those have been changeups to Duncan. We saw in the last pitch to Pujols more of a spinner, not that sharp break, and
he rolled over on the changeup his first time up. You're going to play Jacobs back, so Albert will be going on the pitch, but I still think it's going to be a changeup. So you put your first baseman back there in a better defensive position.
There goes Albert. Check swing by Duncan, did not go. So another chance for Nick Stavanoa.
Threw the changeup, but a little bit outside, and Chris had good plate discipline and stayed away.
Mike Jacobs earlier tonight on a check swing. 3rd strike. And he didn't like that one bit. And Duncan is able to draw the walk on the check swing.
Jerry Lane, the crew chief, made the decision on an appeal play on the Duncan check swing. And our home plate umpire, Tony Randazzo, called out Jacobs. I thought he broke his wrist.
Stavanoa now up with 2 on. Up the middle. But they had him played that way, and Callaspo steps on the bag at second. 7th inning rolls in when we come back. Here at Busch Stadium, the Home Depot doing more on defense. Let's see if Davies got a piece of this. Tough to tell.
Might got a little piece of his heel.
Yeah. Maybe one of the Spike may have got it.
Kind of watch. Nope, I don't think so.
Nope. It's off the mound, and they had him played perfectly. The Home Depot defensive play of the game.
Keep a close eye on Wellemeyer, even though he's thrown 78 pitches. You know, it's been a while since he's been pitching in the 7th inning, and really keep this a very positive outing for him. So Trevor Miller is up and throwing.
So here's Jacobs, followed by Buck, and then De Jesus. And there's Trevor Miller. With starters, just like hitting is contagious, as you well know, Mr. Raboski, so is pitching. That's what we've seen from these starters.
It really is. You know, it started with Pinheiro. You know, he gets the complete game shutout. Then Carpenter comes in with 5 shutout innings. Wainwright last night, you know, goes 8 2/3. And Wellemeyer here. So they, as a collective group, have been doing an outstanding job.
So 1 run and 28 2/3.
Kyle Loesch can't wait to get out there and do his part. Wellemeyer has been in the 7th inning. He has not pitched beyond the 7th inning.
There's the starters together, and Loesch, of course, getting the start tomorrow. So leadoff walk, and this is what you're talking about here. Keeping that watchful eye on Todd Wellemeyer here in the 7th. That is his 3rd walk in the last 3 innings.
Something like there is a little double clutch at the top of his windup that, you know, tonight he's gone above his head, but I don't remember seeing that second pause where he started to go forward and then rock back his hands backwards and then deliver the plate. So leadoff walk, and that is the 2nd walk in the last 5 batters, and his 3rd of the night.
Looking down at the Cardinal dugout, looked like Adam Wainwright, could be wrong about this, but it looked like he was kind of mimicking what Wellemeyer was doing. Maybe they picked up on it too.
Yeah, picked it and said, where'd that come from? It's almost like he got there in the middle of his windup and said, wait a minute, something's wrong, and let me start it over.
0-1 is hit out of play. It's 0-2 as Wellemeyer now works from the stretch.
I did like what I saw, though, as after he walked, you know, he kind of kicked himself a little bit mentally, regrouped, and then he's come out now throwing 2 strikes. These guys are starting to develop this bond where a guy warms up in the bullpen, they'll go down, or working in between starts, go down and try and figure out little things to all help out Marty Mason and Dave Duncan.
0-2 pitch to John Buck on its way. A little bit low. The Cardinals have turned a double play tonight. That was back in the 5th.
Dave Duncan a little concerned as now they've gotten a right-hander up.
One thing about Dave Duncan, he's a straight shooter.
Oh yeah.
I mean, he'll tell you what's going on with the team and his pitching staff.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Curveball. Wanted away.
And a line drive into center field. So the first 2 have reached here in the 7th for the Royals.
And Dan, if our statistics hold, that spells trouble for the Cardinals because Buck has his 2nd hit of the night, and he's 2 for 3. And Tony La Russa is going to not let Wellemeyer go any further. You want to keep this a very positive outing, and he can only be the winner now. He's upset, but he's pitched a very good ball game, and Trevor Miller is going to come in.
So a nice round of applause for Wellemeyer. Chevy called to the bullpen. Trevor Miller coming in for St. Louis. here on Fox Sports Midwest. The I-70 series, Kansas City and St. Louis. A 2-0 Cardinals lead on the Pujols figurine night. Presented by Ameren UE. Nick Stavanoa early on, 2-out base hit to score Barton and Albert on his night. That made it 2-0, and that's been all the scoring. Davies has settled in since then. Todd Wellemeyer's been lifted now as he goes 6 innings. And he's left 2 on. And now the Cardinals will turn it over to Trevor Miller.
There's Trevor. Appearing for the 16th time. He's been very good against left-handed batters. 3 for 27, a 111 batting average. 9 of his last 10 outings have been scoreless. And the Cardinals bullpen has been the stingiest in baseball.
De Jesus at the plate.
De Jesus, who was very good in interleague play with the batting average, but here trying to play small ball with a lefty on the mound. He's showing bunt on the first pitch.
Trevor was telling me the other day, and you see De Jesus 1 for 2, that he said all his years in baseball, he said Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan have been the best in how I've been used. He said initially it was them trying to figure me out and vice versa. He said, but we've really settled in, and they use me the best I've ever been used, which is saying something for a guy that's been around as long as he has.
You know, he's 7th major league team in his 9th organization, so he's had a lot of others to compare to.
1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, he and his family deal with their daughter that suffers from a very, very tough situation. As the bunt is down, Miller thought about going to third. He'll go to first. It'll be second and third with 1 out. His daughter Grace has a chromosome disorder, 2 holes in her heart, and he said initially it was just devastating, but 20 cases have been reported of what she has, and none have lived past a year. But his daughter will be 5 coming up in late June, which is great news.
A little breaking ball, but he gets the bunt down, right back. Checks. He just felt like his only play was going to be to first, so he faces 1 man and gets him. Double switch as Tyler Green will go out and play second base. Schumacher will go to right field. So Stavanoa comes out and Mott comes in. first time, I think, all year that we've seen him reach 97. As you know, that was consistent last year, 97, 98, and then sometimes a triple digit earlier in the year. You know, he was throwing 91, 92. I didn't remember 96. A very interested observer as Willamette.
No balls and 2 strikes. Oh, he got him. Couldn't pull the trigger.
What are you looking for?
Well, he comes in pumping some heat right now.
What are you looking for there, huh? 0-2 fastball, and Willamette has to like that as well as the rest of the starters.
Well, he says his slider is a pitch that it's still obviously a work in progress and how it feels in his hand, the baseball. Here's Billy Butler, who's been used primarily as a DH but also a first baseman for Kansas City. Hitting .283, 3 home runs. He's driven in 20.
And he has a .417 average with runners in scoring position and 2 outs, just like we have right here. So most of his damage has been at home.
There's a strike. 98. Even to the naked eye, it's different tonight.
Absolutely. I mean, and a lot of times a power pitcher, it takes them a little while. You know, the warmer weather, all of a sudden their arm heats up, starts breaking loose. Sometimes you throw so many breaking balls, you get away from throwing the fastball and you lose it.
Another fastball. Strike 2. Now that time it looked like Butler may have been on that pitch. So, Alan, your expertise here, your 0-2. What's going through the mind of Mott with this next pitch?
Well, it's a catch-22, Dan, because you know it's the old saying: you got a great fastball, you're learning how to throw a breaking ball. You throw a fastball, he gets a base hit, and they say, well, you can't throw a fastball. You throw a breaking ball and you give up a base hit, and they say you got beat on your second best pitch. Go throw your fastball, just change the area, elevate it, throw it in the air.
97.
Do that. You know, the other ones are down. All of a sudden change it up, you know, make it go up and away. Get him to chase a pitch. You can't catch up to that fastball at the top of the strike zone.
You're right.
Or, you know, I mean, if a fastball up in the strike zone, that's hittable. But above the strike zone, that's a pitcher's pitch. That's the swing and miss or the pop-up.
Some of the folks on their feet here at Busch Stadium. He got him.
That's a pitch up above the strike zone.
Mott comes in, strikes out 2. 2 of the biggest strikeouts of the night from Jason Mott. Blowing smoke. Time to stretch. Score stays at 2-0 in favor of the Cardinals here in the bottom of the 7th. Look there at Tyler Green, and how about Mott coming in, and that's the exact pitch that you talked about, Al, the fastball, and he elevated it.
Throw it up there. You're either going to swing through it or you're going to pop it up. At his velocity, you got a good chance. Very impressive outing. Comes in, strikes out Strand's 2 men in scoring position, and you can't do much better than that. That's the first time we've seen anything that looked like the Jason Mott we saw last September, velocity-wise.
Colby Rasmus will face a lefty. Bloomquist stays in the game at short.
Now let's add on against Horatio Ramirez. He used to be with the Atlanta Braves also.
It's turning into Atlanta Braves West with these Kansas City Royals. Front office and some of the players in uniform.
And their general manager came over from the Atlanta Braves, so he knew a lot of these guys in the minor league system and their beginnings of their major league careers.
Rasmus pops it up and a play. Foul territory, and it's made by Tien. In town for the game? Well, while you're here, try your luck at one of the local casinos and take a riverboat cruise on the mighty Mississippi. Make the most of your next visit to St. Louis. Go to explorestlouis.com and see why St. Louis is all within reach.
I'm a zoo freak, and I love the St. Louis Zoo and all the great employees out there. But I got to take my grandkids to the Magic House. They've really made a significant addition to that.
Yes, they have.
I've never been there, but I mean, I just
Really?
hear everybody rave about it.
Oh, you'll love it. See, I'm a expert now. I was an expert when I was a little guy, and now I'm an expert as an older guy.
They
Because now I have little
got
guys.
ramps for guys like me.
1 ball, 1 strike, and 1 out on Jason LaRue.
Jason 0 for 2 in the night, but what a job he's done nursing Wellemeyer and getting through that precarious 7th inning.
You know what I liked about Mott? I mean, there wasn't any showboating either. I mean, he came in at a crucial spot. Certainly his emotions and adrenaline are running high. And he acted like he did it before.
Well, and after he had the bad outing in opening day, failed as the closer, and he wasn't fazed by that a bit. He knew that, okay, this wasn't my game, but he didn't let that beat him up, and that's what I really respect.
And LaRue strikes out. He knew it. Second time he struck out. This copyrighted telecast is presented by the authority of the Cardinals and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cardinals. But it's just become commonplace. Fist pumping and hitting the chest. Now, you were a showman. I say you're a showman. It's different now. I'm going to get you off the hook on this one. And I know that really means something coming from me.
Well, but, I think I was an entertainer when it was, today sports is entertainment. I was an entertainer when it was a sport, but I did my thing before I faced it. If I got you out, I didn't show you up. I went on to the next guy. Where some of these guys, get themselves a little trouble by striking somebody out and then doing something silly. I had too much respect for everybody I faced.
1 ball, 1 strike. Well, the highlight shows certainly have changed the culture of sports a little bit. First at bat for Tyler Green. 2 outs, nobody on. And Green pulls it foul.
Mike Garman, my right-hander, late inning right-hander in the bullpen during my time in St. Louis, told me one time, he said, the only difference between you and me is you got a gimmick. And I said, Mike, you can go do that, but but if you don't get somebody out, there's no place to hide. Are you willing to do that?
And you didn't mind.
I started doing it because I was going back to the minor leagues, and it helped me. It created an aura in the stadium that, people wanted to see it, which put pressure on the hitter. You had going into an enemy ballpark, people would yell at their hitter saying, "Don't let that donkey do that to you." And so it put more pressure on their hitter. And the odds were I'm going to get him out. And so he goes back, and his home crowd's mad at him. But everything worked in my favor.
You and I have a slight age difference. Slight.
What, 40?
We would have had some fun, though.
We still do.
I mean, if I could have been the announcer for the team when you were around, we would have had a lot of fun. But now we'd have fun.
Yes, we do. And we're going to have fun on this road trip as the Cardinals are getting things in the right direction when they go into Milwaukee. What are the Milwaukee doing today?
I wanted to be your teammate.
Hey,
I'm going back in time one of these days, and it's going to happen. I'm going back as your teammate, Al.
I hope I don't scare you.
I would never have talked to you. Right center, that's well hit. And it's gone. It gets over the wall, and a home run for Green, his second of the year. 3-0 Cardinals.
How often your pitchers set the tone. Good starting pitching. Then you have terrific dynamic relief pitching, and that just energizes those guys when they come to the plate. And Tyler Green gets a fastball down and away and hits one to the opposite field into the Cardinal bullpen. Former #1 draft pick out of Georgia Tech, always noted as a good defensive player, but showing some signs of coming out offensively.
Brendan Ryan, a chopper to short as he throws the bat near the Cardinal dugout. But Tyler Green, an opposite field home run. And the Cardinals now lead it by 3. The bat of Tyler Green.
Kind of shocks you as you see that ball down and away. Good piece of hitting and a little bit more as you're Green with MB with Tyler's second major league home run. Artie Prather even got him made up for the rookies.
He's quick, those sides. Top of the lineup, Coco Crisp.
Oh, by the way, he's also a member of the Missouri Sports Hall of Fame.
I know that. I knew that. And Coco looks at a strike from Mott. What's interesting about a reliever, you get those final 2 outs, and then you're asked to kind of revamp and focus again and get yourself ready for the next inning.
That's a very good point, Dan, because sometimes you come in such a charged atmosphere and you get out and emotionally you get drained. And it's not uncommon for a reliever to come in like Mott did, do such a fantastic job, then you go sit for that half inning and get yourself in trouble before you get those juices flowing again. The only problem is, well, it's not a problem, but he won't be out there to get in too much of a jam. He won't get a chance to get out of it, though.
Dennis Reyes is getting loose at strike 2.
You've got 2 switch hitters at the top of the order. He's there for Tion, but both these first 2 hitters seem like they're a little better from the left side than right.
Fastball and slider, that's what he's got. Little floater going out towards center. The catch made over the shoulder by Tyler Green. You watch these rookies play. Tyler Green's a very good example. But you're seeing these guys relax both at the plate and in the field defensively.
And that's a very good point of how you describe him gliding back on this one. You know, not charging, staying under control, just getting there. And Jose works with these guys. He works with the veterans too. You can see him defensively trying to tell these guys a little bit. They'll look in, say, where do you want me to position?
Callaspo fouls it back. That pitch at 96. It was Bruce Mano that first came up with the idea of changing Mott from catcher to pitcher. And he's now with the Braves. He was under Walt Jocketty.
Sometimes it's not that tough a decision.
When he can't hit a curveball.
You look at the batting average, you go, you know, he do have a really good arm, so let's try and salvage something. But it really paid off.
Yeah, a lot of scouts when he was at college in Iona talked to him and his coach about moving to pitcher because of his great arm, and he refused to do it. And he started this in 06.
Well, we talked about it's either, okay, Jason, it's either pitch in professional baseball or go home. That's the equalizer too. Uncle Charlie and go home.
He said the guys in the bullpen have been tremendous for him, and it's been a great learning experience. Opening day was a learning experience for him.
Absolutely. That's the way to look at it. Not the way you dreamt it was going to be, but you learn from it.
Popped up. Green calling for it. He's got it. 2 away. Baseball is such a fickle game too. You're up and down with emotions, winning streaks, losing streaks. I thought Ryan Franklin said something that stood out in our interview with him on our pregame show the other day. He said, and this is after the 3 games against Milwaukee. So with a young team, what's it like with these guys? And he said, I'm not sure they understand it. You know, some of the young guys, they take this a little bit differently than maybe I did as a younger player.
That's a good point. You know, because we've seen a lot of talented young teams that got a lot of talent but don't know how to win. And, you know, they're just excited to be at the major league level, and they don't understand that additional commitment to winning. And that's where Tony and his coaching staff, who, you know, they demand a lot from their players, but they give twice as much back to them. And the core veteran players teach these young guys that, hey, you know, you can't be content just picking up that paycheck here. We want to go for the pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. And you got to work hard. Isn't it interesting with Reyes warming up that he's decided to go with Mott facing the left-hander here? Just an indication how much he likes what he's seeing.
1 ball, 1 strike. There's the slider. Tapped foul. I just don't see a team, and you may disagree with this or not, but I just don't see a team right now in the National League Central that would run away with this division. You got to love the Milwaukee Brewers lineup, as we saw. They can hit, but can their pitching hold up? Chicago has their problems. The Cardinals' issues right now with their lineup with the injuries. It just doesn't seem.
Totally agree with you.
You know, a team's going to run away with us.
And I don't know. Of course, we haven't seen the Dodgers. They're off to a fantastic start. They are 29 and 13, but everybody else has got their own problems. And a lot of people weren't that high on the Dodgers, you know, coming out of spring.
How about the job by Mott? 3 strikeouts, 5 outs. Bottom of the 8th rolls in. And the top of the lineup coming up. but thanks you for being a designated driver. By Bank of America. Cardinals banking only at Bank of America. And by Hyundai. Discover why only Hyundai can say sales event. Visit your St. Louis Hyundai dealers today. My favorite statue, the Jack Buck statue here at the ballpark. And of course, on the left field wall, the microphone and the picture of Mr. Buck. Here's Skip Schumacher. Schumacher, as you mentioned, a little bit of a tailspin here.
It's 2 for his last 20. It's on the homestand, but
and Ramirez, Ramirez makes it 0-2 as he's facing a lefty here. Ramirez gave up the home run to Green. We'll see Pujols one more time. Phillies beat the Yankees 7-3. I wonder how many home runs were hit in that game. You think about Ryan Howard and Chase Utley and the balls that are flying out to right at the new Yankee Stadium. An alarming rate, and the guys in the truck are saying it was 7 home runs hit in that game.
Surprised it's that low.
Johnny Damon has hit a bunch this year.
Make it fair, right?
That's what you want. You have all the amenities under the sun, but you want a ballpark that plays fair.
So one thing Cardinal ownership here wanted a fair ballpark, and they succeeded. Now, there are sometimes it's hard to know with the wind and how you build a stadium and where you create wind tunnels, or they can do some of those studies, but you really don't know. But you don't want to play small ball.
Here's a 1-2 pitch. Tapped foul.
Cardinal fans have enjoyed watching the last 4 ball games.
I was just going to say, give me a well-pitched game over that any day.
It's like you get some of those lopsided games, and it's almost like, okay, whoever hits last has the highest percentage of winning. You get a well-pitched game, and every pitch takes on so much meaning.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Skip Schumacher. He was with Mike Shannon on the pregame show talking about turning the double play at second base. And Skip picks up his first hit. That's good to see. Going to left.
Off the left-hander. Always talk about it. The ability to go up the middle or to the opposite field. So important facing the lefty. Don't let that front shoulder. Good piece of hitting there. Ball on away from him. And really his eyes riveted on point of contact. Going with the pitch. Getting that good line drive stroke.
Hits by direction for Schumacher, and to left 13.
Just under a 300 average.
Here's Barden with a single tonight. A run scored. He has struck out twice. Scoring in this game, if you just joined us, Nick Stavanoa with an RBI single to plate 2 back in the first. That scored Barden and Pujols. And then the solo home run by Tyler Green to right center. 3-0 Cardinals here in game 1. Get the feeling with these starters, they don't want to be the one that stops the streak. Right. A little pressure there.
And that's the fun thing about it. You have the really close-knit bunch of guys, but to have a little competitive fire in between the rotation, kind of push each other. All starting with Pinheiro.
Here's a 2-0 pitch. Ripped fair. Past the third baseman, into the corner it goes. Schumacher on his way to third. And they're going to hold him up. A late call there by Jose Oquendo to hold him up. First base open now. After the double by Barton, second and third, nobody out for Pujols. And this is the dilemma that you find yourself in when you face the Cardinals in this spot. Do you pitch to him?
Watch the left fielder. De Jesus goes and slides on it and stops it from getting the wall. He just had a little trouble with it and with exchange, but with Albert coming up and nobody out, if you can't really walk on home, and you see Schumacher had to make sure that the ball got by Tion over at third, wasn't a line drive double play, and so he stays at third. I know you, Mr. Manager, you're already showing me where first base is. Bob McClure, the pitching coach, will come out and talk. You got a right-hander warming up.
Well, to me, and I don't know how most people feel about this, but we've seen the majority of his at-bats in his career, and he is an unbelievable clutch hitter in Albert Pujols.
And a great hitter, against left-handed pitching. You got Duncan on deck. There's Farnsworth warming up.
And the question you have to ask yourself, if you're going to lose, and they're down 3-0 at this spot, are you going to pitch to Pujols and give up potentially 3 runs, or if you lose going down with Duncan or somebody else in this lineup? But Pujols is not going to beat me.
It looks like Trey Hillman is going to sit there and say the old proverbial, okay, don't let this guy beat you, but don't give him, but we're not going to put him on. Maybe if they fall behind a couple pitches, they go ahead and put him on. You got Farnsworth, the right hander, warming up, but you got Duncan on deck, and now they're going to elect to load the bases. Franklin was warming up. Now he's sat down, and another right-hander has gotten up for the Cardinals. It's like McClellan. Man, I have to wait to see him throw. They're booing you, Dan.
Well, I understand why. But this is, in my mind, the correct move. Now, of course, if I was the opposing manager in any game that Pujols played, he may never have a hit. I just walk him every time. Schumacher, Barton with the double. Intentional walk to Pujols. Of course, you being the competitor that you are, you're saying, forget that, Dan. I'm pitching to Pujols.
You want to pitch to him because the time you sit there and say, oh, I'm an intentional walking, as your manager said, hey, I want you to pitch to him. A little breaking ball over for a strike.
But again, this is the importance of this spot for the Cardinals in the lineup. Making them pay if they elect not to pitch to Pujols.
Leo Green is on deck now.
The 0-1. Duncan pops it up. Left side, and it's caught in foul territory. Bases remain loaded. And Green will be the hitter. But Khalil did have a sac fly the other night. And this should be it. And it is. So he'll go to the pen, and the hard thrower's been getting loose, Farnsworth. And he'll come in to face Khalil Green. So the base is loaded for Green when we come back. Hitting coach on the left. These two, Al, have been working very hard to try to get him straightened out.
And not only yesterday, but for several days, as he's been kind of opening up, and really the bat just kind of drags through. And what they're trying to do is keep that front side in, almost kind of accentuate a little bit, and just have that short, compact explode to the ball, but not to let the front side collapse and then the bat just drag through the zone.
Big spot here, and Tony La Russa trying to hand-pick spots to give him some confidence. What a boost it would be for Green here to get a base hit.
You know, to me, he just looks better. Seeing him in the clubhouse today, he just looks a little more refreshed. Looks like he's, not fighting it, beating up on himself a little bit, being a little more tolerant. The only problem is Farnsworth comes in. From what we've seen in the past, when you bring in Farnsworth, when his team is down as they are in this ball game, you're seeing one of the best pitchers you ever see. You get him even or ahead, it's a different story.
Out to left, and a base hit for Khalil Green. 2 runs will score, and he delivers to make it 5-0.
And nobody is happier than Tony La Russa and Al McRae right now. Let's watch the front foot. You saw him standing in the batter's spot, just kind of concentrating, kind of moving forward, doesn't give way. Kind of a little bit like Albert, lifts it up, kind of puts the toe down, but it doesn't give way or collapse on it. And he hits a solid line drive out there. He gets 2 more RBIs, and inside, Hal McRae is thrilled to death, and Tony La Russa is even happier.
There's Colby Rasmus with 1 out. Green delivers. 5-0 Cardinals. No longer a save situation, so Franklin sits down, as you mentioned, and certainly now you won't see him.
It's Kyle McClellan throwing in the bullpen. Well, you see that high ERA, but Farnsworth was just one of those enigmas. He just had blessed with one of the greatest arms, but at times didn't know what to do with it. Now he's got more experience and doesn't have the same arm.
2 balls and no strikes. He was so good at times with the Cubs, and then he was with New York, and now Kansas City.
He's never had success against the Cardinals.
No. At high ERA.
And a lot of times, he'd walk people in.
3-0. So 1 out, runners at first and second, 3-0 on the rookie. Atlanta beats Toronto 1-0. Houston and Texas tied up 5-5 in the 9th. Tampa Bay beat Florida 12-5. Cincinnati over Cleveland 3-1. Baltimore beat Washington 4-2.
Cardinals could move within 1.
A fly ball left center. Pujols will not tag up. Catch made by Coco Crisp, and there's 2 away.
Cardinals could move within 1 game of Milwaukee with a victory here tonight, and Milwaukee's loss in the Twin Cities. They're down to the bottom of the 8th inning, where the Twins up 11-3.
Michael Kadire has hit for the cycle for Minnesota, and when they scored 20+ runs against the White Sox, he was the one position player yesterday that didn't have a hit. So he makes up for it tonight.
I guess so. Zambrano will be facing what yesterday was Jake Peavy, if he's still the scheduled pitcher in San Diego tonight.
Strike 1 on LaRue.
Coming off the disabled list, gives up a run in the 1st inning. And the Cubs, they just didn't look offensively. They're going to get much improved, especially when they get Ramirez back. But some pitchers can take advantage of that team right now.
Well, Lee has not been the same. Milton Bradley so far has been a bust. Hasn't played all that much with injury, but hitting under 200. Noah Ramos Ramirez. Soto isn't hitting, their catcher. You have to wonder, and now Farnsworth wants to visit again with the catcher, but you have to wonder if the Cubs get back in the PB sweepstakes now. Now, San Diego obviously willing to deal him. It's an embarrassing situation when he rejects the trade. A lot of people feel it was mishandled. So, would they just be willing to say, what do you have? Let's go back to the drawing board and let's start this thing over.
A lot of times that's why general managers hate for the public to find out, the media to find out about a trade. Whether they're asking for permission from a player or one that falls through at the 11th hour, because feelings get hurt.
That's right. It's been a night where the offense has come from unexpected sources. Nick Stavanoa, a 2-out single to score 2.
Yeah, and right now with the lineup you're throwing out there, it has to come from an unlikely source, because they're going to pitch around Albert, and why should they pitch to him?
Yeah. Tyler Green, Khalil Green. Tyler with the solo home run. Khalil with the bases loaded, right? Nick Stavanoa, as we mentioned. So it's been 3 guys that you don't expect, but you're exactly right. With this lineup, somebody's got to come through outside of Albert. One and 2 the count. LaRue has struck out twice. He's 0 for 3. And strikes out again. That sends us, though, to the 9th. And Kyle McClellan will come in for the Cardinals.
To nothing as we go to the 9th at Busch Stadium. Don't forget, coming up after the game on the post-game edition of U.S. Cellular Cardinals Live, Pat Paris and Ricky Horton are live at Lumiere Place. They'll look at the Cardinal starters staying strong. We'll have post-game reaction from the Cardinal clubhouse, plus fixing the eye in Big Mac Land. All that and more coming up after the game. For now, we send it back to Dan and Al. Gentlemen.
All right. Thank you, Jim. Looking forward to that. And looking forward to this 9th inning. Kyle McClellan takes over for the Cardinals. Non-save situation. A 5-0 lead for St. Louis.
It's been awfully good of late, and really kind of has solidified that bullpen. If it's a relatively close game, he's been coming in after those relievers or after the starters and pushing it to the 8th inning.
This will be the first out off the bat of Jose Guillen.
Kyle's been doing it in relatively ease, just firing strikes and getting his ground ball outs.
Here's Mike Jacobs. Well, to make room for Zambrano, they put Rich Harden on the DL.
Oh, so the problems continue to plague the Cubs.
Apparently, he suffered a mild back strain while pitching against the Astros. retroactive to May 18th.
The shift on for Edwards. How
Cardinals 2 earned runs in the last 35 innings pitched.
That'll win you some games, won't it?
Yes, it will.
Have an efficient inning and be ready for tomorrow afternoon.
Just 4 hits allowed tonight.
Cardinals, they have 7 hits, but they had 3 of those 7 in the 2-run 8th inning.
Hit sharply past Pujols on an 0-2 pitch. Played off the sidewall perfectly. Jacob stops at first with just a single. Our Budweiser, great player of the game. Budweiser, the great American lager. And it's tonight's starter. That theme continues on this homestand after the Milwaukee series. It's Todd Wellemeyer. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, 3 walks, and he strikes out 3. But have also given the great player of the game to Jason Mott. Mott came in with runners at second and third, 1 out, and got a couple of the strikeouts, and really the key moment in this game.
Absolutely.
Back in the 7th.
Well, that's why he said sometimes, those relievers preceding the closer, will do the job. In this case, Mott took a very tough situation. 1 out, runners at second and third in a 2-0 game, and protected that lead for 5 outs, 3 strikeouts during that time. And then Cardinals pile on, so Franklin doesn't get the nod. Here McClellan pitching in the 8th, and the double play is still in order.
We can make the case that the Cardinals here in the early season are facing this Royals team at just the right time. They've been struggling.
And also say it's raining, so let's hurry it up.
Where does rain
You
come?
You doubted me, did you?
Popped up. Pujols over with a play. Near the dugout, he's got it. So there's 2 outs and a runner at first. De Jesus. Well, I don't doubt you anymore. It's raining.
Yes, it is, and kind of surprise. As maybe some showers were in the forecast, spot showers for tomorrow, none for tonight, and more on Sunday. A possibility. But it will not delay this game. Cardinals have a 5-0 lead, and I haven't heard of a 5-run home run yet. I've seen hitters try to hit one.
Oh, yeah. 2 balls, no strikes. Crowd on their feet here at Busch Stadium, over 43,000.
Milwaukee does lose, so the Cardinals could move 1 game back with 1 more out.
And the Cardinals would go to 8 games above 500. Tony La Russa always talking about increments of 5. 5 games above 500, 10, and so forth and so on.
It's a real simple way to do it. You don't get too confused. You don't get ahead of yourself saying we got to be 30 games over. Just go in increments of 5.
Always must be a good feeling, even in a non-safe situation, to get the handshakes.
That's it. It is really important to be out there to get the final out of the game and have your teammates and to be part of that celebration and be receiving them instead of being giving them.
Sure. Three and 2. Cardinals 1 strike away from making it 4 straight. Popped up. A play. Foul territory. Cardinals win it 5-0 over Kansas City. And they take